get started.
So the quarterback carousel is actually a pretty interesting one this year. The names aren't as big as like you'd want, but Aaron Rodgers, you have Sam Darnold, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, Matthew Stafford apparently is in talks about having a new team next year. So it's gonna be pretty interesting. Who's your guys' favorite quarterback coming into free agency?
Not that Kevin O'Connell merchant.
Excuse me?
Not that Kevin O'Connell merchant.
There's no way you think Sam Darnold is a system quarterback.
Brother.
Sam Darnold is not a system quarterback.
So what, guys just can't have revivals in their career? They can't just be in really bad systems and all of a sudden they're good when their team's not bad around them?
As he wrote back.
Geno, do not compare him to Geno Smith.
Okay, guys, we're done memeing. I honestly, my favorite quarterback in this club, the most intriguing one for me is Fields because he had a pretty good start in, I was going to say Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh. He had a good start there, and he's intriguing because he can either be a bridge or he could have that Sam Darnold arc where he plays really well and then gets himself a lot of money in free agency because I can't see him getting signed to a long-term contract.
Yeah, I don't think Justin Fields is going to get a long-term contract. I think he showed flashes, but I also think when you watch the Steelers play with Russ, especially in the beginning, you saw why Russ was the quarterback. He was making a lot more accurate throws. He's a lot more command of the offense. They were hitting on deep shots. Like the offense had another element versus what Justin Fields did. Not saying he's bad.
No, I think Justin started really, really well. Like I don't think he was bad at all. And honestly, I thought it was a really dumb decision at the time to bench him and put in Russ. But honestly, like I think it ended up working out for them for the most part, other than like that last like 5-6 game stretch where they just tanked.
That's just a common Pittsburgh
That's just
thing.
a
It
Pittsburgh
feels like
thing.
it feels like for the last
Yeah.
couple of years they've been like, oh, this team's like they might like surprise somebody, and then they kind of just go, we just fall off a cliff.
But yeah, I think Justin Fields is a really intriguing one just because we've seen him start, but we've never really seen him excel, I guess. But he does have a ton of like potential. Like
He shows flashes.
yeah, he has like a ton of talent. He'll have one bad game and then he'll have the next game where he looks like a superstar. So I think he'll definitely get a contract. I don't know if it'll be a long-term one. It's probably going to be like a 2-year deal or something. He's going to be probably looked at more of like a, not necessarily a bridge, but like kind of like a Sam Darnold type of quarterback where he kind of came in just to kind of, I guess a bridge quarterback, but I don't know. I'm excited to see what he's going to do. I don't know exactly where he's going to go. Maybe Vegas. Maybe he'll re-sign in Pittsburgh. I don't know.
I think Justin Fields is in a good position because he showed that he can play quarterback and he can win when there's a somewhat of a structure built around him. Like what, they were like 4-2 before they made the switch.
I think so.
Yeah,
That
so-
sounds
So
right.
you can kind of see that he's able to win games and like he's able to compete. I would love to see the Raiders go after him because with the way the Raiders team is built and how much cap they have, they can afford to figure out if Justin Fields can play quarterback at an elite level because he has the upside and the potential of his dual threat, his arm, and things like that can kind of take that offense to another level. It's also going to make your draft way easier because you're not worrying about a quarterback prospect. Like, let's be honest, Gardner Minshew and AOC aren't the answer.
No.
Like, those guys they're not going to win. They might win a couple games, but there's no way this fool's about to say AOC's the answer. I can see it on your face.
He's cooking up something.
I just feel like AOC hasn't had a proper chance. I agree 100% about Gardner Minshew. I think we need to see AOC a full year with this new offense and see what his true potential is. I don't think he's that bad. I know I said, oh, he could be like Brock Purdy a couple, his rookie season. You guys are looking at me like I'm crazy, but they've won with him. He's won games. Guys, he doesn't have a lot of talent around him. Like we're gonna sit here and glaze Sam Darnold. Like he doesn't have Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, and then what's the tight end?
I
name?
agree,
can't
though.
I
think
mean,
of
if that's the argument, then every quarterback's a system quarterback.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes isn't. He's got Boo Boo Smith Schuster. Like
It's just, I mean, I don't know. I don't really think you can say that Sam Darnold's a system quarterback and then sit here and try to say like, oh, AOC this. Like, Pick
I
a side.
I don't think Sam's necessarily like a system quarterback, but I think he's gonna regress a little bit next year just
Yeah.
because he's gonna be on definitely a worse team than he is in Minnesota. Minnesota has a really stacked offense and a really, really good defense too. So like, and they're not gonna have Kevin O'Connell, obviously, wherever he goes. So I think they're definitely gonna regress a little bit. Sam Darnold is, but I mean, I think he's still a good quarterback. He has a lot of talent. He's only 27. He's still gonna learn, like he's still growing. Like I don't think he's a system quarterback, but I don't know. You're definitely going to see him regress.
Sam Darnold to me is just he's very difficult to grade because he had a good season. He has the quarterback whisperer as his coach. He has a great offense. He had good offensive line, but we saw what happened when he couldn't be protected in the playoffs. He just was getting sacked like every other play.
He holds
It was
onto the
rough.
ball too long too. I feel like that's his big thing is he holds onto the ball too long. I was
Yeah.
watching that Rams Vikings playoff game and dude, it was holding onto the ball for like 4 seconds every play. Like, what are you doing?
Got to get rid of it. I don't know if that's a scheme issue or if that's just more so Darnold's issue, but he's got to get rid of the football. And the thing that I like that you bring that up, Blake, is he's gonna probably regress because he's gonna go to a team with a worse offensive line,
Yeah.
most likely, no matter what. Should a team pay him $100 million over 3 years to see if he can be their savior? Potentially, I think the Giants is a very intriguing landing spot. Does it buy the front office and Daboll more time with their jobs? Do they risk it with a rookie like Shador Sanders or Cam Ward, whoever may fall into their lap in the draft? That's the thing about Darnold is he's just tough because I'll be honest, I don't think he's a guy that can win you a Super Bowl.
I think the most
Yeah.
sense for Sam Darnold is a team that's ready to kind of compete. Like it should be, he stays in Minnesota. I don't think he's going to stay, but if he stayed in Minnesota, or if he went to someone like Pittsburgh, someone that they're going to be competitive and they don't have a top 10 draft pick that they can potentially spend on the quarterback. Because why would you go pay someone when you're not entirely certain versus you can just go draft a kid, get a cheaper contract, and you can figure out what this kid can be. It's not a dig on Sam. I just don't see NFL franchises putting a lot of money because the quarterback market's outrageous.
I get what you mean because like the Giants are what picking number 5 or 3?
Three.
Yeah, they're picking 3. Like
One of the
they-
quarterbacks. will
Yeah,
be there
yeah,
probably.
they're gonna get either Shador or Cam Ward.
There's a chance they have their free pick at either one of them too.
Yeah, most likely. I mean,
One of them will go 1 or 2.
I don't know, but they can definitely draft a good young quarterback that they can build their team around, and they're going to go into a good situation in New York for the most part. I mean, that front office is a little sketchy, definitely, but like they have weapons. They have Malik Neighbors. They have Tracy in the backfield. Like they have a decent enough defense, good defensive line. Like it's not the worst situation to go to. Like it's not an absolute dumpster fire. Like it's getting close,
New England.
like New England, but I don't know. The New York is at least making some right steps in the right way. Sam Darnold, though, I feel like either Pittsburgh or Vegas would be like the two teams I feel like he's most likely to land with.
Vegas to me, you guys are gonna call me crazy. I feel like their offense is like maybe 3 players away from being like pretty legit. I like Myers. They got the 2 tight ends. I'm not very familiar with their offensive line. I think Colton Miller's gone better. Jackson Powers Johnson, he's gone better. They have no running back. That's a huge issue.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if they spent the 6th overall pick on the draft on a running back. That's probably going to piss off a lot of Raider fans, but dude, why not get the best player in the draft, you
Yeah.
know? Their defense has some good pieces. They got a couple big free agents on defense that they need to either lock up or replace. But their quarterback position has just been, they've probably had the worst quarterback situation since, I don't know. I mean, the Jets have been bad. Cleveland's been bad. They're definitely up there, though, with one of the worst quarterback situations over the past, 10, 15 years for sure. And it's just like, do you just take Darnold, who, how much does he move the needle? Is he good enough to get you to the playoffs? In my opinion, the NFL isn't like baseball where all you got to do is make it and then anything could happen. I truly think in the NFL, the better teams win most of the time, not baseball where things,
Anything can happen,
Anything can
yeah.
happen. Dudes could get cold.
I mean,
That 24 scoreless inning streak, man, it just hurts. But
I don't know. I think that to a certain point. I think the Raiders, I think give them a couple of years, like they'll be a pretty solid team. Like they're moving in the right direction. Like with Pete Carroll, like
Yeah.
they have Jacoby Myers, like he's pretty solid. Like I don't know, they're making the right steps. It's just it's going to take a couple of years. I don't know if Sam Darnold is just going to be a plug and play. Like he's going to throw 30 touchdowns next year. Like I don't think that. You know what I mean? Like he's probably going to have a mid season next year and just be all right. Like especially if he goes to somewhere like Vegas.
I think he can throw 30 touchdowns next year, regardless of where he goes.
I mean, I don't know.
I think he can throw for 30 touchdowns.
I'm like, dude, I don't know how many quarterbacks even threw for 30 touchdowns last year. I know Burrow did. I know Lamar did. Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes had to have. But I don't think Herbert didn't.
I think Sam Darnold can go to a team and win games. I don't think he's going to win a Super Bowl, but I think Sam Darnold can fix a problem, and it's going to help teams. I don't think he's someone that's not going to help anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you do if you're like Russ or like Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. Now with Rodgers out, is Sam Darnold going to reunite with the Jets?
Hell
dude?
no.
No,
I would be.
way.
There's no. I would not go back.
There's no
Bro
way.
got out. I would not go back.
I wouldn't want to play for Woody Johnson, but we'll talk about that another time.
No, dude, the whole Aaron Rodgers thing is just it's terrible, dude. That I get the whole appeal, like the appeal of Aaron Rodgers, like he's the last like remaining like titan of like that kind of era of football,
Brady,
like
Breeze,
yeah,
Peyton, Eli,
that whole like
You
era.
put Eli in there?
Eli's up there.
Phillip Rivers.
Eli's not that good, but like, yeah, I mean, he won 2 Super Bowls.
No, he's not.
he won 2 Super Bowls. That's all I'm saying. But
It's just the first name that came to my head.
but no, he's like the last titan of like that kind of era. But there's so much baggage that comes with them. Like if you sign that guy, like your team's becoming a whole media circus of just about there's everything around surrounding Aaron and like his like weird like off-season antics and like ayahuasca, just a bunch of like weird stuff. And he's gonna want to bring in Alan Lazard
and Randall Cobb.
He's Randall Cobb's old ass.
Bro, he's gonna bring in just a bunch of weirdos to your team.
You guys think Aaron Rodgers is in his hobbit hole right now?
Dude, he's definitely tripping on ayahuasca as we speak.
Dude, he's so real for that, man.
I really think the only teams that make sense for those guys are going to be like Cleveland and Tennessee. It's like bridge quarterbacks. Like take your quarterback, like Cam Ward, draft Cam Ward, and like let him sit behind Rodgers or Wilson.
Yeah,
and then year 2, let him play.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the only. I really don't see a team that's going to take and look at Aaron Rodgers and be like, "Oh yeah, I could win. I could win with this guy."
The thing is, though, is that if you're Rodgers, you're not going to want to go to a team where you're going to lose. Like this is either your last year or your second to last year in the NFL. Like he doesn't want to go out like how the last years have been in New York. You know what I mean? I feel like he's going to want to go to a winning team, but I think his options are going to be very limited to do so.
I read some outlandish report saying that he should come play for the Niners.
Dude, it's every single year that he has like an inkling that he's going to be a free agent, or if he's not going to like sign with his team, he's going to re-sign with the Niners. He's going to sign with the Niners. No, he's not. They hate each other. They're never going to sign.
They're not going to take him. They don't want him.
Plus, we have Brock Purdy. We're about to pay that dude probably way too much money. I love the guy, but he's going to get $60 million a year, and we're just going to re-sign Rodgers. How does that make sense? Are we going to sign Rodgers? I don't know.
No, they're not.
There's no way.
They just
so for Rodgers, what? Where do you guys think he's going to land?
The only team that I think needs a quarterback that he would be wanting to play with would be Pittsburgh. Either that, or if Minnesota doesn't want to start McCarthy away,
he's got to fulfill the prophecy.
He's got to fulfill the prophecy.
He's got to fulfill the prophecy.
Go play for the Vikings and
play for the Vikings. Probably lose in this, not in the Super Bowl, in like a divisional game or something, and then retire.
Pick 6 to Gardner Johnson, and then Paul Allen's gonna scream, "He could have ran for the first down." Dude. This isn't Detroit. This is the Super Bowl.
But no, dude, he's gonna fulfill the prophecy. I don't know. Honestly, I think those are gonna be the 2 teams that Rodgers is probably looking at. I don't know if those 2 teams are gonna be interested in him, but if you're Rodgers, those are gonna be like the most, good candidates, I guess.
What if Fields ends up in Minnesota as a backup? to McCarthy, or he fights for the starting job with McCarthy. That
Justin
I
Fields
just
in
thought about
Minnesota would
that.
be kind of crazy.
I don't think that's gonna
I
happen.
don't think it would happen, but that'd be kind of nasty in that offense.
I don't think that holds any water, just because they're not gonna want to have like their second year quarterback, and then you have Fields, and every time one of them has a bad game, bro, it's just gonna be chatter for the other guy to come in. I don't think they're gonna want that type of issue in the locker room. Coming to like Trey Lance and Jimmy G and like the Brock Purdy and Trey Lance stuff, where if there was
Don't
just
remind me, bro.
small hiccups, it
Jeez.
was like bring the other guy. It was just this whole thing.
One interception, yeah, bench him.
I think that's why Trey Lance to Dallas worked out so well, because it's like Dak is clearly the starter. There's like nothing Trey Lance can do to take.
Should I go put my Trey Lance jersey on?
No,
No.
but yeah, I think Rodgers to like Pittsburgh would make sense if Russ doesn't stay. Minnesota would be funny. I don't know if it'll happen.
I don't think it's gonna happen.
I don't
but it
think Russ
would
is
be
going to play
funny.
for a contender. I really don't.
I'm just
I
thinking
think
like in
still-
Russ's mind, or not Russ's, in Aaron Rodgers' mind.
Yeah,
like,
in Rodgers' mind, he probably wants to try to compete, but I think Russ will just play where he can. Like, I don't
Yeah.
really think there's going to be a huge market for him, because the Steelers kind of fell up short again. He fell up short in Denver. He hasn't looked great. I see a team like Tennessee or Cleveland, honestly, which kind of sucks. But like being a bridge quarterback would make sense for Russ, trying to win some games and maybe just the guy's gonna be a Hall of Famer. He's one of the greatest ones to play. Better than Eli. Eli's in the Hall of Fame, and Russell Wilson's in the Hall of Fame.
I don't know
So
about that, dude.
I mean, you got Rodgers and Mr. Unlimited. The thing that we missed the point on
Unlimited.
is Mr. Unlimited box office in the future, but like they're both egomaniacs. I can't see either one of them wanting to be a backup quarterback. I can't see Russ, after hearing all that stuff about him, be like, yeah, I'll be a backup quarterback. Like, he's like Rodgers, dude. He's probably, I still got it. I can still win a Super Bowl. Like, no.
he's probably gonna get a 1-year deal. He's probably just gonna be a bridge quarterback. No one's gonna sign him for more than 1 or 2 years.
No.
Yeah.
He's gonna play 1 or 2 year deals.
Russell Wilson can have this great career arc where he's like, just, you know what, I'm going to be a good person and be a mentor now and like build the future generation. But no, he's, that Mr. Unlimited egos and start talking to him like the Green Goblin Master, like, you can still throw 50-yard deep bombs better than anyone in the league.
The perks are gonna tell Aaron Rodgers it's 2012.
The ayahuasca trip. He's talking to the stars. Like
He's in that dark
you
room.
have it.
You can win one more Super Bowl.
Can win 1 more. But yeah, I think Fields and Darnold are like easily the most like popular ones. Obviously, I'd love to see Fields go to Vegas. I really think that relationship could work. Honestly, I want to see Sam stay in Minnesota, because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how long JJ is going to be out with his injury, what his rehab looks like, how his rehab's covering. It wouldn't necessarily be a bad idea to maybe try to lock Sam Darnold up on a short deal. Will he take it? Probably not. But then I think like a team like Pittsburgh would probably make sense for him. Then someone like, all right, cool, we're done with the Russ experiment. Let's go try to get more of someone who's coming off a hot season, someone younger, more athletic, and still he has a pretty deep ball. Like Russ still has a deep ball, but like Sam Darnold's got a deep ball too. He can throw with anticipation over the middle. I think he'll connect with Pickens really easily. I think if they can, like Wilson coming for year 2, they can get some guys in the offseason. They can have a pretty solid offense. So honestly, I think my favorite thing about like the offseason, like all like the trade rumors that we get, obviously we have Deebo Samuel, Cooper Kupp. Apparently Matthew Stafford's going to be on the trade block if they can't come up with a contract.
Myles Garrett.
And now, yeah, exactly. The biggest one's going to be Myles Garrett. So out of all of the free agents, who do you like? Well, obviously Myles Garrett's going to get the biggest haul, but like, where do you want to see Myles Garrett end up?
San Francisco.
Okay.
I think Tampa Bay would be pretty cool. I don't know if they have
Tampa
the
Bay would be a good
assets
fit.
to make a move for him, but they'd probably use him more than anybody else in terms of pushing them closer to winning another chip.
I think it's unlikely just because he's in the AFC, but I would love to see like Buffalo go after him. I would love for Buffalo to go all in on the Super Bowl run, seeing that like the window is kind of open. Like right now, we kind of saw the Chiefs kind of look defeatable for the first time in a couple years. Obviously, the NFC is the NFC, but if I was Buffalo, I would put all the chips in whatever it costs.
Realistically, I think the team that can probably get him, like has the best chance of getting him, would probably be Washington. I feel like they should put everything into him because honestly, their offense is stacked right now. Like they can probably use one more receiver, but like their offense is pretty there. Like it's just their defense. They can use like a big edge rusher like Myles Garrett. Like if they can lock down somebody like that, just like a huge defensive player of the year type player, um, like Myles Garrett would really, really push the needle for them.
Kind of similar to what the Bears did when they traded for Khalil Mack.
Yeah.
They really took off there, even with Trubisky at quarterback. And obviously, Washington's in a way better situation with Jaden Daniels. He's
Yeah,
spectacular.
they're way above where they needed to be last year.
Yeah, I think their window, like no one really expected the window to be open for Washington as quick as it opened in terms of like, oh, we can compete in the division and we can actually compete in the conference. Like this is not a 6-win football team. I think I would go all in on getting Myles Garrett to my team. Just because they already have a pretty solid foundation at defense and the defensive line is already great.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty good defensive line. Like imagine just plopping Myles Garrett into there and be like, hey bro, go play.
Yeah.
What do you think Myles Garrett would cost in terms of like trade assets?
I think it depends on where you're drafting from, like as a team, like who, like yeah, exactly where you're drafting from. I think for the Niners, I think they could get by with like a first round pick, a second, and like Deebo, and then like a third. I think they could throw 3 draft picks. They can throw in Deebo because they don't have anyone at wide receiver. I think they could pull that trade off because you're gonna get another top 10. You're gonna get the 11th overall pick. So now you're sitting at what 2 and 11.
Yeah.
You can draft Abdul Carter, and then you can go and take someone at 11, whoever you want, to kind of help continue to build the franchise. Debo can be one of your wide receivers. He's not your wide receiver one, but he's there. I think that makes sense. I don't think you need to give up 2 first, but if I was San Francisco, I'd give them anything they wanted.
I think
I think Philadelphia really showed what dominating in the trenches looks like and how you can really separate yourself. Like I think the best Niner teams you've seen is them just dominating in the trenches.
That's why they were so good, like in the 2019 to 2020 season. Like that front four was insane. Like that's one things I would see. I want the Niners to go for is to get somebody opposite of Nick Bosa. Because like since D Ford and like that DeForest Buckner, like all those defensive linemen left, like we really haven't had a dominant front four like that since then. So getting somebody like Myles Garrett would be like game changing for the Niners, especially under Robert Saleh. Like
Yeah, I think Robert Saleh coming back. I think you're gonna lose Hufanga. You might lose Greenlaw. Sounds like he kind of wants to run his own show and be linebacker one on the defense.
I hope not.
But it kind of sounds like the Niners are gonna be losing some key pieces. I think right now
Javarius Ward.
what you can do is you can go get like a star-studded guy, 5-star blue chip defensive lineman, and pair him on your defense to kind of hide the other weaknesses. Because the other than that, you're gonna go take a draft pick and you're gonna hope you hit on him. And then we've all seen the Niners don't always hit. I mean, Kinlaw didn't hit, Solomon Thomas. I keep going, but the draft picks aren't guaranteed to turn out to be great players.
It's always the late round draft picks that we hit on.
Yeah, for the Niners, it's always like back end guys, but just in general, just because you're drafted first overall, you're drafted 75th. Like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There's no guarantee you're going to be great. I think Myles Garrett he's already great.
They should go after him. I don't know if they will, but I think if I'm John Lynch, I'm blowing up Cleveland's phone, just like going all in on him.
Yeah, Cleveland says they don't want to trade him, but they're going to trade him.
Yeah, especially if they get a haul for him, which they will.
yeah.
Like that's what Cleveland needs. Like Cleveland needs some pieces. Like Cleveland, honestly, like for how like bad they performed the last couple of years, it's mostly due to like quarterback play. But
I think the Niners have a pretty enticing trade package compared to other NFL
Yeah.
contenders. Like, I don't think there's many contenders
pick
that can,
11,
that can give what the Niners can give in just terms of draft capital.
Yeah.
Like they have all higher end picks. You can throw in Debo if you want to throw in Debo. Like he's on the trade block anyways, but like Debo's just an extra piece. Like, cool, I got all these draft picks and I got a receiver that I can pretty much plug into my offense and use right away. He brings a different element. He can play in the backfield, jet sweep, screens. I can occasionally go deep. I have a weapon, and now I have all these picks. So I think San Francisco makes the most sense. It's just if the Niners really want to pull the trigger, they're not that aggressive when it comes to big name talent in the trade market. They're more like free agent signings. My other suitor that I think makes the most sense, just because how aggressive they are, is Detroit. I think Detroit. I would not be surprised if Detroit went and pulled off a trade for Myles Garrett. Like they're an aggressive team. They're willing to go all in. Like they believe their Super Bowl window is still open. Like this is the time. And honestly, it's not getting any bigger. Jared Goff's contract, his age. Obviously, you lost your coaching staff. Guys are going to be up for extension soon. I think the window's here and now. They got pretty close last year. I mean, I think the Washington game was just kind of a fluke.
Well, dude,
Just
their
happens.
defense near the end of the year was so banged up and like
Yeah, so many
so
injuries
many
and
injuries
hard to
and
just keep up.
so dude, like if they had Myles Garrett and Aiden Hutchinson, like it doesn't
Oh
matter who's in
man.
the secondary, dude. You're not gonna have any time to throw.
Their secondary's not even that bad. Their
No,
secondary is
like
good. I mean,
they
they're a
have a
little
good
banged up.
secondary.
But I think Detroit is a team that would definitely be aggressive enough for him. Another team that's has no problem being aggressive is Philly.
Yeah.
I don't know if Philly is willing to trade a bunch of draft capital because they're kind of already in a spot where they're like, we don't need Myles Garrett.
And Philly drafts so well too.
Yeah, Philly drafts so well. They can get younger and cheaper. They don't need Myles Garrett, but like if I woke up one day and I saw Myles Garrett went to the Eagles, like it wouldn't shock me.
Philly has most of their core locked up, if I'm not mistaken. I know for sure on the offensive side, and for the defense, most of Cooper DeJean, Quinion Mitchell, they're both really young. Reed Blankenship, so they got a lot of the young guys already locked up, or they're on rookie deals. So that's another thing that they could probably afford to take on Myles Garrett. It's gonna be a massive contract to pay him what he wants. That's another thing. I'm not too familiar with the cap spaces of all the teams besides really New England, but that's another thing you got to consider. You got to get a ton of capital, and then you have to pay him a ton of money. I think the Niners have probably the best package because they have that 11th overall pick, and Cleveland could take that and flip it and get more top 50 picks because when you're at the bottom of the barrel, you just need talent, and that's what Cleveland needs. They just need talent. I mean, they have good wide receivers. They definitely are going to need to draft a running back. So there's a lot of good running backs. So if they got extra top 75
Super
pick,
deep class with running
they
backs.
can hit on there.
There's it's gonna be hard to miss. You might reach, but it's gonna be hard to miss on one of them. It's a very deep class.
Myles Garrett, he's just a phenomenal player, and when a player of that caliber comes available, you just and you're in your championship window, you have to invest all your chips in on him, and you just cross your fingers and hope he doesn't bust. But you 100% have to go full in on him. There was a very popular player who just got traded that's got us all scratching our heads. And I hope the NFL GMs or the Browns GM realizes Myles Garrett is worth more than an Anthony Davis. But
Bro loves talking about other sports.
speaking of Anthony Davis, let's go into a player who's kind of in a similar career arc to Anthony Davis. That'd be Cooper Kupp. He's a little bit on the older side, banged up. But man, when he's healthy and he's on, damn, it's hard to say that there's very many players better than him in the receiving room.
I think if I was some teams that I would look at for like Cooper Cup would be like a not Pittsburgh would Pittsburgh's not bad, but like Green Bay is a solid team that would I think would benefit.
Yeah.
I think Carolina could be someone who kind of Adam Thielen kind of plays that role, so maybe not unless you want to put one of them outside. I think Washington makes a lot of sense. The other team, if you don't want him in your division or your conference, is Buffalo. I think Buffalo is a couple pieces away. Like they need an edge rusher. They could really benefit from a receiver who's going to win man to man coverage. They're going to find soft spots in zones. They're going to win off routes. They're going to get open down the field. They're really missing that type of receiver that Josh Allen can rely on getting open. A lot of the times he kind of runs around, he makes a play, or the guys are schemed open, that's part of football. Scheme's part of the game. But when it comes to just one-on-one, I need this ball to get out and I need someone to go get it. Cooper Kupp is a guy who can still do that at a high level. Green Bay needs a receiver really bad. I mean, Josh Jacobs came out and even said it that they don't have a wide receiver one.
I just don't think he's gonna. I don't think he's gonna stay in the NFC. I think it'd be very dumb for LA to trade him to somebody like Green Bay.
Yeah. It just depends on what the Rams see, because apparently the Rams are also talking about Matthew Stafford getting traded.
So I'm gonna make another reference to basketball. Trading Stafford is probably like look at Luka, like, yeah, that trade makes no sense, but the Lakers are thinking long term. LeBron doesn't got that much longer. It's the same thing with Matthew Stafford. Stafford keeps their Super Bowl window open, but their defense is super young. They're going to move Kupp potentially. They try to move Stafford to a team that just tries to go all in, like, say, Minnesota. We talked about the Darnold stuff and Fields and all that, but Stafford is a guy that can be moved too. And do they try to maybe maybe there's someone they like in this draft. Maybe they're like, screw it, let's take on Justin Fields. I've heard people even mention online about Zach Wilson playing in that McVay style offense. I know you're shaking your head because it is crazy to say that,
It is
but
crazy. I mean, we've seen Zach Wilson play.
He wasn't that terrible in his last stint with the Jets.
No, this last year, I mean, or this couple years ago, I guess now, he wasn't that bad. But at the same time, like, I think he still has a lot. You know what I mean? I think he will benefit after being a backup for.
I think if someone's going to get out of him, it's going to be Sean McVay. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
think it's
that's true.
I don't think it's crazy to go young and hope you hit on someone. But Cooper Cup, I mean, I don't like the idea of them trading him. I think he brings another dynamic to the offense. I mean, as a Niner fan, I'm glad he's not going to be there. Cooper Cup. I mean, he didn't do much in the last week that they played, but I'm happy to see Cooper Cup not have to be on the Niners anymore. I would love to see him in Buffalo.
Last time he played, he got locked up. I'm saying, Ronaldo Green.
Demarcus Robinson's a free agent too for the Rams. So, their big two receivers they'd have left would be Puka and Tutu Atwell.
They're just trying to stay young or trying to get young. I guess it makes sense. They're just trying to stay relevant because a lot of those teams that they're going to be going up against in this, like the Commanders and Philly, like they're great teams, but they're also very young teams.
Let's swap Cooper Cup for Deebo Samuel.
Yeah, I think that's
you guys can have Deebo Samuel out there in LA, and Cooper Cup can come play with Brock Purdy in the Niners offense, and
that's even, man.
I think I think John Lynch get on the phone.
You guys are crazy if you think Sean McVay and those guys are. I mean, if Kyle Shanahan can't get anything out of Deebo Samuel, I don't think Sean McVay can at this point.
I don't even think the Niners are going to trade Deebo. I think he's going to be a casualty cut. Like, yeah, he's going to get snipped. He's going to be free reign. I'm going to be pissed if he goes to KC, if he gets like one of those June 1st cuts.
Yeah, dude, if he gets cut, there's going to be a lot of people trying to sign him just to see what they can do.
Yeah, they can get him on a deal. I mean, I would really like to see like Denver be aggressive for like Deebo Samuel. I think he'd fit very well in a Sean Payton offense as a gadget because he's still a great wide receiver. He's had a bad year. It happens. But the way that like Sean Payton can like scheme and coach up, I think Deebo Samuel would be is what like he's missing in his offense. I think you look at what Denver does, like they're missing somebody like that they can really like dump screens and do all these little trick misdirection plays where I can just dump this ball off to this guy and just watch him take it 25 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't have anyone like that in their offense.
It makes me sad to see Deebo go, honestly. That dude has had some like the best Niners moments over the last few years in like 2019, 2021, and even 2023 against the Eagles. Or yeah, it would be
last year when they played the Eagles.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite Deebo games. One Dallas too, when they played Dallas. He said, "Give me the ball, I'm gonna score," and then they gave him a handoff and he scored.
Yeah,
that was dope.
No, there's been a lot of cool moments with Deebo, but yeah, I think this offense sadly needs to move past him. I think that the Niners offense with Deebo just kind of got figured out. We tried to do it all last year. These like little screen plays, these little jet sweeps, these little zone run schemes with Deebo in the backfield. Like it didn't work all year. Deebo very rarely had like a highlight all year. And it was
I just think the writing was on the wall with Deebo Samuel. Like they drafted Ricky in the first round. Like it clearly wasn't because of B.A.
Yeah, no, we knew like when we took Ricky Pearsall, we were all texting during the draft and we're like, who's gone? Like it's
Deebo. Like Deebo's the odd man out in the offense just because of the way that they play it, the way they run it. I mean, it's a bad casualty, but it's it's the sport. I think he's gonna be perfectly fine at any other team. I don't think they'll keep him in the NFC. I definitely think he will go to the AFC. I think they'll put him on a team. I think Baltimore makes sense for him too, the way that he plays over there.
Baltimore would be actually kind of nasty.
I think
that'd be fun.
I think Baltimore makes a lot of sense. Like they can run some insane triple option, like insane things out of the backfield with Deebo and Derrick Henry, where Deebo can go and run.
That'd be crazy.
I think if they can get him on the low, like a low trade, I think that'd be awesome for them. I'm excited to see kind of where these guys end up in the trades. Myles Garrett, I really hope he's a Niner. I think he's going to be a Lion. I think he's going to be in Detroit. I don't think Deebo's going to get traded. And then Cooper Cup, I'd love to see Cooper Cup in Washington or Buffalo.
Cooper Cup, someone's gonna pay a hefty trade price for him because he's too much of a needle mover in my opinion. I think he's better than Deebo at this point, and can always use a guy who's gonna kill it in the slot, get open, catch the ball on third down, and convert first downs for you. So I
How you
think
win
he's good.
games, how you
Yeah.
move drives. No,
Yeah.
you can't always take the top off of defense. I think Cooper Cup brings an element to the game where he can very much move a needle for an offense. He can take an offense from good to great. He can take an offense from non-existent to existent. Like he
The Rams, dude, like that's been their whole offensive mind. Like in the last few years, it's just been like death by like 1,000 cuts. Like they just 5 yard slants, 5 yard slants out,
yeah, they just
screens.
go
Like
up and down the field.
they just move the ball 6 yards at a time.
Kansas
And
City does it too.
yep.
Like there's I even think like the old Patriots teams,
Yeah.
I don't think it's dink and dunk. I think it's just like you can't stop it. Why
No.
am I don't need to go 45 yards over your head.
Now, if you're gonna average 5 yards a play, you're gonna win. You're gonna win games.
Yeah, I'm gonna go down and score.
It just happens to be the formula to success.
So if
for
I
other
score in
teams.
6 minutes or 2 minutes, I'm gonna kill more time and I'm gonna score. It doesn't matter.
The scheme should just be called short and sweet because that's literally all they do is just bang, bang, bang. Just keeps defense. It wears out a defense too. It's hard to have to defend like 10+ play drives consistently, and you're just getting beat. And there's got to be nothing more demoralizing in football than just constantly losing on third down.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah,
how
that
these
is-
offenses are set up. Third and two.
I would
you're just
love
like,
to see Cooper Cup in a Bills. If I could put these guys where like I think they'd be the best bet, I'd put Deebo in Denver, Myles Garrett. I think he'd thrive in San Francisco. I really hope the
Yeah,
Niners.
that's like honestly being unbiased. Like obviously, I'm a Niners fan, but him in San Francisco with Robert Saleh as a contender, like across from Nick Bosa, like a really really good defensive minded like coordinator. Like I think he would have the time of his life in San Francisco. Honestly.
I'd honestly also like to see Washington. We've been talking about Washington a lot today, but I'd also like to see Washington compete for Myles Garrett. Like I think Washington makes plenty of sense. We kind of already touched on that, but I think like Dan Quinn got a lot out of Micah in Dallas, and they're not the same player. Micah can kind of drop back in the coverage a little bit, but I think he can also really help elevate Garrett even to a better player. He's already great. I think he can just make him even better. I think they can scheme, especially with that D line. Like that'd be nasty. Washington would be really cool too. That would kind of take them into the next level of contending.
yeah, you guys got any final thoughts on anybody else getting moved? Stafford, predictions of where he may end up.
If I saw Stafford getting traded, I think it would kind of come down to like
I think it's gonna be a team that's a quarterback away. I think it has to be that.
So Minnesota, pretty much.
Yeah, like
I don't think
Minnesota-
they'd be a quarterback away team. I think they'd be someone like a New York, like one of the Jets or the Giants. Like he'd be like a quarterback for like the Jets. He'd be out there and for the Giants. That those teams make sense for me. They're like a quarterback that can still play, still produce, still do things, but like this is the end of this is like we're moving on type of thing. Like right now, like we're just trying to build a franchise. So I'm gonna get a very good leader and I'm gonna get a good mentor in for my younger guys and stuff like that. I think Pittsburgh makes sense if you want to keep trying to win.
That was gonna be my next point. I think Pittsburgh would probably be a really good fit. Like if he does move on, I don't know if it's for sure, but if he does move on, I think Pittsburgh makes a lot of sense.
I could see Houston being a probable spot for either of those wide receivers as well because they have, bless you, the Tank Dell injury. They have
Stephon Diggs is a free agent.
Diggs isn't a guarantee back next year as a free agent. Nico Collins, Dalton Schultz are both good. John Mechie, I would say he's a work in progress. So they could definitely use a receiver. Really, just about every team except the Cincinnati Bengals could use a wide receiver, if we're being honest. And the Eagles. But yeah, I just want to thank you guys for listening to the episode. Just comment, like, subscribe, share with your friends and family, just like we do. And you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.